Hello. Maybe
Hello.
it's on the right side. I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, I don't know because usually you got to switch them when we come on.
I did. I had to switch them again. I don't know.
Well, everybody, welcome back to Naughty or Nice. And this is episode 31.
31, I know.
And as you already have guessed, probably by my neckline, I am the ever naughty Alexis Flame. And I'm joined by my incomparable co-hostess, the nice
Toni Homeperm.
She's just so nice.
She's so nice it's sickening.
Yeah, something like chloroform, I think. But sweetie, where is Tomcat or Kevin Wisher when you need them?
When you need them, probably, with the chloroform, finding a date.
And cataloging the secrets that go into the sauce.
What's the secrets in the sauce?
Oh, there's so many secrets in the sauce.
Secrets in the sauce.
Always. It's such tasty sauce, too.
I know.
Tony, we
yeah.
are not going to pass go.
No.
And we're just not going to collect $200. We're going straight to hell.
Well, we already knew that.
But that's okay. I got hell at my last divorce. I own it now.
Oh, that's nice.
Speaking of divorce,
yes,
that reminds me of my children.
Yes.
So many children.
Oh, so many children, so much child support.
Oh, please, never mind child. I had my tubes vaporized.
No, child support, I said.
Yeah, child support. My children support me, as it should be. So anyway.
And speaking of children.
Another one of my handsome sons.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes a lot after his mother because he is also a witch.
Oh.
Everybody, please join Toni and I in welcoming Dr. Gianmichael Salvato.
Hello, Gianmichael.
The secret really is in the sauce.
I'm telling you.
He's licking his fingers. Anyone we knew.
I'll never tell.
Well, on our last episode, Toni and I were just reminiscing that if I ever invite her and Frank to dinner and I serve them something different than the main course that everyone else is eating, don't
Now
say
we'll talk
anything.
about
Just
it.
eat your food and I'll talk to you later.
Yes, I know. But of course, Gianmichael, you don't know my husband, but my husband would be like, Alexis, why do we have... And I'd be like elbowing him like...
And like John, he wouldn't get it. He would just only get louder.
Yeah.
And don't
then
eat
I would
the
ask
pork.
if I could speak to him in the kitchen.
And don't eat the sausage from the pork store in Newark.
Oh, see, you just spoil all the fun.
Oh, you're giving away all the secrets.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, that was an old one anyway. So, Gianmichael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I don't know what's to tell. I'm a little bit country.
A little bit rock and roll.
A little bit of down-home magic, possibly, with a little bit of Motown in your soul.
That's right.
They don't know if it's good or
Oh,
bad.
I've had
They
a
just
lot
know
of-
they love it
They
so.
love it so.
I have had a lot of Motown in me. But that is another show.
That's a story for another episode.
Right.
Wow.
So
Actually, I think that could be a mini-series.
yeah, probably could. Genderqueer witch, as you said, started out in the adult film industry. The pandemic hit us, and so I started doing AIDS activism and education while continuing to teach the craft. Wrote 10 books somewhere along the way, and now I'm teaching the Italian tradition to an amazing group of about 40, 50 folks, the majority of whom are either queer or all of whom are either queer or allies, and live in South Central Pennsylvania now, about an hour and a half west of Philadelphia.
That would
Wait,
be rather large.
you were in naughty movies?
Yeah.
Oh my!
Why don't you go ahead and tell her how many?
Well,
Oh, I'm
6 years
sorry, I
worth.
don't think you can count that high.
6 years. Well, no, I could count because there were only 6 films that were shot, but then it was over 6 years, and so they chopped that shit up and put it out every which way possible. So you show up in the middle of another movie that I wish I was in, but I wasn't, and of course you don't get paid for that either.
Now, do you mind sharing what your porn name was?
Rico Santiago, and I will not say what the other one was.
Oh, you had more than one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll find out. I have my ways.
Care for an apple, Snow White.
But most of them were Rico Santiago.
Okay.
Rico Santiago.
Mm-hmm.
And when was this?
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
Miles and miles ago. There's tons of mileage since then.
Probably sometime around my first facelift.
Yeah, could be.
They're gonna do my next one with a crane.
Oh, I'm just gonna tell them, pull all the skin up at the back, tie it in a knot, cut off the excess.
Oh, that's like a society matron's facelift.
Yes.
You ever notice how they all wear their hair snatched straight back into a bun? When they're feeling droopy, they just give the bun a quarter turn.
Exactly. I wish I had enough hair to put in a bun.
So I grew up. I'm from Philadelphia, but I grew up in Central Florida. So I did both my cinematic work and started performing in drag at the Parliament House when I was 16, 17 years old.
Which bar?
Huh?
Which bar?
The Parliament House in the main Footlights Theater.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd like to meet Zia Angelina one day.
Yeah, she's on, and she always sends you her love, and she'll just have to have you both on the show in the fall when she's out of she's on a cruise right now.
In other words, in a clinic in Zurich getting a total overhaul.
Yeah, on the USS Cataract.
I mean, the way I do it is so much easier. I just invite a handsome young man to dinner. Ain't that right, Tony?
Absolutely. Gianmichael, a 20-year-old twink goes in the apartment, and an 80-year-old man on a walker comes out. But
he's smiling.
He's smiling.
But smiling. I mean, Elizabeth Bathory, she just didn't do it right. What can I tell you?
Yeah. Well, they're still intact when you're done with them, more or less.
Define intact.
More or less.
Well,
maybe more or less than more.
Well, you've heard that a fool and their money will soon be parted.
Yes.
You'd be surprised how quickly and easily that fool could be parted from his youth as well. No, people have even commented on a couple of recent episodes that I'm starting to look younger.
Really?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
That's because you don't play with your food like Elizabeth did.
The fun play with.
Doesn't go to waste.
Oh, dear me.
So, Gianmichael, you're really a true Renaissance artist, I guess we could say. I mean, you've done so many different things.
I was a Catholic priest, and
oh my,
yeah. And what that was I squeezed a bunch of lives into one.
Tell us about the monastery.
Much more boring story than one would like to think.
No.
I knew this gentleman who had been a priest, and he ended up leaving. And he told me when he was actually in a relationship with another priest, and
Yeah. So was I, and my cinematic debut was prior to seminary.
Oh.
So I had skills when I went in.
Well, that's funny too, because there's a production company, if that's what they're calling it these days, that kind of specializes in the whole priest altar boy type of.
Oh yes, yeah, and like the Mormon, there's a whole like.
Oh
Mormon
no, that's a separate one. It's the same parent production company though.
Yes,
because you see the actors are interchangeable. About like 6 or 7 different productions.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Let me tell you, some of them you don't mind seeing over and over. At least I know. Oh, wait a minute. This is going south real.
Literally.
I mean, this is supposed to be a good, wholesome family show.
It is?
Oh, that's what I was told.
Someone lied to you.
I hate when that happens. So, Gianmichael, what part of Pennsylvania do you live in again? Because your sister Gia was our last guest.
Yes.
We went from Gia to Gianmichael.
Right? She also lives in Pennsylvania, but she's actually in Pennsylvania. Her and my boyfriend live in the same area, the Wyoming Valley, Luzerne County.
Yes. Where is she, up around Wyomissing?
No, she's actually in Nanticoke.
Okay. I'm in southern Pennsylvania, just east of the Harrisburg Airport.
Okay.
I don't know where any of that is.
Harrisburg's right in the middle. And we call it Pennsylvania because the mindset is Pennsylvania. Harrisburg proper is very blue and very progressive. But if you set even an inch of a foot out, it's all bets are off. And we live east of the airport, so we're about halfway between Harrisburg and Lancaster.
So are there any of those Amish
that's Lancaster County though?
Yeah, we're just west of Lancaster County, and there are a lot of Amish where we are.
Are there any of those restaurants? Those Amish restaurants?
No, that's on 30, which if you're in Philadelphia is City Line Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go about 20 minutes from me to get to.
We went to those like a couple times when I was a kid. Those those family style restaurants where they sit everybody at like a big table and they just bring out the giant plates of food and you're just passing around with. So it was a great experience.
Were you going to Dutch Wonderland before?
No, I think we went
to Hershey.
Where we go? I think we were visiting relatives of my mother's because she had relatives that owned a dairy farm, believe it or not. And I helped milk the cows.
And you were traumatized.
And I don't know, there's just something about the experience, Gianmichael. I milking the cows.
All right,
it affected me.
You will forgive me. You'll have to continue the rest of this episode without me. I'm having way too many fucking visuals. Toni, we are so talking after this. For the next 3 or 4 episodes, girl, I don't think we're going to need any guest stars. Wow.
Maybe therapy.
Did it again. I'm creeped out again. Some shit.
Oh, my Lord.
What do you think, Billy?
What does he think?
Yeah, he doesn't think.
Oh, it's too. I should have had his cousin talking Tina.
Oh, that's
in
his former squeeze.
His former squeeze, yes.
Yeah. No, that was funny. I was working with this gentleman, and I was gifted with a replica of Talkie Tina from the Twilight Zone. And because Tony's previous show was Talking Tony, but we're on the phone, I got the batteries. It says everything it says.
Oh,
in the
yes.
show.
Oh, she's great.
And we're just dying. My name is Tucky Tina, and I'm going to
kill you.
So you have a real talking Tina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the funny thing of it is, the doll is actually clothes, skin, hair. The doll actually appears exactly as it did on the Twilight Zone. So basically, you're sitting in a Technicolor room with a black and white doll.
Yeah, she's in black and white.
Oh, wow.
It's the funniest thing.
You should have her on for a guest.
Yeah.
What an interesting concept.
Yeah, that could work. We were also thinking, because of my abilities with a seance, to get a hold of my sister Leslie Savage and to bring back Joan Rivers and reenact our appearance on her show. So many things. Halloween is such a wonderful time.
I know. It's the best time of year. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
I mean, I did manage to conjure forward B. Arthur last.
That's true. She brought back B. Arthur. She wasn't having it, though, because you pulled her away from dinner with Paul Newman.
That's unfortunate. To do that show, I had to give up my brunch with Burt Reynolds. You know, that was a shame when Burt Reynolds died. You know those arcade games where you put the money and then you got the claw that goes back and forth?
Yes.
Can you just see the Grim Reaper playing that? Come on, Keith Richards. Fuck Burt Reynolds.
He keeps missing Keith Richards. That's for sure.
Jesus. You know, you can just see him on the phone. Hey, Mick, guess who I outlived this year?
So, Gianmichael, you said you've written 10 books?
Yeah.
10.
Oh, yes, he's published.
Now, these are all related to
spirituality
and
witchcraft, the Italian magical tradition, folk magic. In our tradition, we never really called it witchcraft. It was just our way, or Fallo Santucci. But it's what it amounted to is witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, in Italian, there's a liqueur similar to Sambuca.
The strega.
That's the Italian name for witch, or the closest thing to it.
Yep.
Strega.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like, you grew up Italian. I'm sure there was someone in your family that took away the Maloik, that you would sit.
Oh, the Malocchio.
You would sit down and they would have the little bowl of water with a little bit of oil and do something and mumble something, and you never knew.
Not in my family. My grandmother wanted the dishes cleared off as soon as possible after everybody ate.
No, but I mean when they had the Maloik, did you wear the corny or the horn, or no?
I wore the horn and the figure.
No, I think my father's mother, she was too progressive for that, I think.
I still have a horn in my jewelry box.
Yep.
Please, and like all the other, even in my car, I had the big red plastic one hanging off the rear.
Wait, I always forget I got the. Yeah, I got mine right there, Alexis.
I can't see it from where I'm sitting.
Ah.
But in my family, my grandma, my great grandma, they were, we'll just say, they could make everything nice again.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and that's basically like even the Italian equivalent to Santa Claus.
They're coming for someone.
Yeah, that passed by again. It's a cloaking spell.
Yeah, La Befana was a strega.
Oh, La Befana. Yeah, but she wasn't here despite the broomstick. Onyx, bad.
I thought there was a machine gun going off.
No, that was Onyx who just jumped into a drawer full of jewelry.
Oh, no.
He takes after the mommy. He likes shiny things.
See, now, I don't know if this qualifies as witchcraft. My grandmother on my father's side, which is the Italian side, now she didn't practice any witchcraft. However, she could get a stain out of anything. So I don't know.
Form of witchcraft.
Her remedy was less soil. Which I don't know if they even make less soil anymore. I don't know.
Actually, you know what they stopped making?
Wow.
But another company picked it up. Gianmichael, you were brought up Italian, so I know you keep a spotless house. Or at least it's spotless when company arrives.
Yes, when company
Depending on what the company gets into. Who's old enough, other than me, to remember Johnson's Kitchen Wax?
Yeah,
Vague.
but it's not made by Johnson's anymore.
No, but it's still the same formula. I have some. I live for this stuff. I mean, you can basically shine almost anything. Get your minds out of the gutter. Nasty bastards. No, but like Gianmichael was saying, growing up Italian, it's not so much looked at as witchcraft, but there's always in every family the kindly old lady. If the day's going shitty, she can make it nice. If you're not feeling well, she can make you feel better. Usually it's with some sort of edible. That didn't come out the right way. But usually she goes to the kitchen, she comes back mumbling, and the next thing you know, everything is nice again. Does that sound about accurate to you, Gianmichael?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I grew up with the uncles and the male cousins taught me about what you do with the mind to make the things change. And the aunts and my grandmother, they taught me what you do in the garden. And you use spinocchio for this, and you use basilico for this, and you use oregano for this. When you're cooking, you say this or you do this. So to this day, because it's part of our practice, we eat the same foods on the same day of the week, every week. So my husband loves the fact that he always knows he's getting what we call macaroni. I know you know what I mean, but
I don't
many times pasta and gravy or sauce.
Oh no! You don't say gravy. Don't do that.
Oh
Please.
yeah.
No, don't call it gravy. No.
Gravy's made with flour or cornstarch. Don't
In Philadelphia, the gravy
I agree.
is tomatoes. We don't put brown gravy on anything.
No. There's no tomatoes in gravy.
There is when we make it. There is when I make it. There's no flour in it either. And
you call sauce gravy? I'm putting you up for adoption.
Okay.
It's sauce.
Make sure he looks like Idris Elba, and I'll be happy. I'll call him.
He's gonna look like George. He's gonna look like a cross between George Burns and Benny Hill.
Oh no.
No, but it's funny because when Gianmichael and I became friends on Facebook, he had asked me about my lineage because he thought we might actually be related.
Oh.
And I adopted him that very moment. And no, but there's just so many ins and outs. I mean, and there's always somebody looking to quiz you or test your knowledge. I don't have any knowledge. I just know what I do.
Yep.
And that it works for me. And I personally am, at least now, I'm not one who's really interested in sharing that knowledge because it always gets convoluted in the sharing process.
Yeah, for me, that's not been my experience.
And I envy you.
I feel like as a queer person, my daughter was taken away from me. My biological daughter was taken away from me when she was 6 weeks old. So I don't have a legacy to leave. And I was meeting all of these people who were Italian who were saying, I see what you do, or they would come to me to do work for them. And they would say, I wish my grandmother would have taught me, or I wish this one would have taught me. And because I do a lot of necromancy, I do a lot of work with the dead, their ancestors would say, well, and tell them this and tell them this. And I would tell them, and they were like, oh man, now I really wish they were here. And so I said, well, I won't do this publicly. I won't teach that these words could fall on anybody's ears, but I'll create a private school. The private school will teach Stregoneria. It'll teach the Italian tradition. I'll invite people from some other traditions that I know and trust to teach their tradition. None of it is like pop culture witchcraft. It's not.
You mean bookstore broomstick job?
Yeah, no. And so we have like a lot of people that I hung out with as a young teenager at Herman Slater's and Eddie Basinski's place.
That Herman Slater was my mentor.
Yeah, and he was one of the most incredible people in the world. And one of his dearest friends was my Zio Leo, was Leo Martello. And and Zio Leo's anniversary of passing is the day after the Stonewall riots. So he died on 2000. So he lived to see one more Stonewall celebration, and then passed in 2000. And so we teach kind of what they taught, and so it flies kind of in the face of all of these Salem putanas oculas up there. And it's private, so nobody can give me grief. Nobody can, and the ones that aren't a good fit, we figure it out really quickly, and we suggest that they go talk to the putanas oculas in Salem or down in New Orleans or wherever.
All right, now you can't sell all of them short because
just the putanas, not all of them, just the putanas oculi.
Yeah, but you can't.
Don't make me name names.
No, you really won't. But you can't crucify the town just because of a handful of inhabitants. No. Well, it's more than a handful, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
But no, because having visited both cities on more than one occasion, I found, we'll just say you're never too old to learn something. But the thing is, the people that Gianmichael and I are talking about on the good end, we'll just say they're not mainstream.
Yeah.
They're not hidden.
They have nothing to
prove. Mainstream. Which, Gianmichael, that leads me to a question, honey. Well, let's face it, look at me. I am a conspicuous person. I was designed to stand out. But I've always been straightforward about who and what I am. I've never denied or hidden being a witch. How about you?
No, I've never, even when I was in the seminary, even when I was in the priesthood, it was known that family that I came from, and very much like you, I think what I loved when I found you again on Facebook was that there were only 2 witches that I knew of who ever appeared on Joan Rivers' show. One of them was the real deal, and the other one may or may not have been somebody I was referring to earlier when I said putanas oculas.
Oh dear, I'm gonna get a phone call tonight.
As well, they know me well. But you were the real deal because you didn't have anything to prove. You weren't full of shit. You didn't do this white light and rainbows and unicorns coming out of your ass.
Oh, please.
And that's
Alexis
the kind
of the Brothers Grimm.
That's the kind of people that in New Orleans, all of my friends were friends in the voodoo and hoodoo tradition. They don't have anything to prove. When you need something done, you go to them, they get it done. And when you grow up Italian in Philadelphia, in South Philadelphia and South Jersey, my family, in lots of ways, when you needed something done, that you went to them and they got it done, and nobody bragged about that shit.
There was nothing to talk about.
You took care of what had to be taken care of. So my idea is, I don't walk around saying I'm going to put a curse in you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Well, number one, the first things first. If we're upset to that point, I mean, Gianmichael, correct me if I'm wrong, but if someone were to upset us to the point where we scream and yell and make a fuss, I'm not going to say pay it no mind. But chances are you can sleep that night.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if we're hurt or antagonized to the point of action, you're not getting a warning.
Right. Exactly. And you don't have to talk about it.
Why?
You
Why
do what
bother?
you got to do. And for me, it's all about social justice. And so if somebody's doing injustice, a piece of crap steps on, puts his knee on somebody's neck and kills them, and that was unjust, I don't have to make a big show out of it. I do what I got to do. Same way, if somebody's kid's sick, I don't have to make a
Well, put
big
it to
show out
this
of that.
way. You have a blowout on the highway. You pull the spare out of the trunk. You put it on. You keep it moving.
Yeah. Hey, Vero.
Now, Gianmichael, let me ask you about the necromancy. Mainly because I'm not I don't practice Wicca or anything like that. But I've had
something unto itself.
I'm sorry. What was that, Alexis?
Necromancy is something unto itself.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know really anything, but I had like 2 experiences, and I don't know if it means that I'm like sensitive or something. When my mother passed away, I had this extremely vivid dream where she was talking to me, and like, but I couldn't hear any words, and like I like woke up from that in like a cold sweat, and I to this day I swear she visited me. To this day, I feel it in like the core of my being. And more recently, my father passed away, and when it happened, he was in his bedroom. I was in my bedroom, and I woke up with a start, and I knew he had passed. And like I jumped out of bed and I went into his bedroom, and he had passed. And there was no sound or anything, like nothing. He went peacefully in his sleep, but it was just the strangest thing that I woke up like in this start, and I knew what had happened, and without any warning or anything. And I mean, and it's just like, so I just wonder if I'm like, does that mean that I'm like sensitive to these kinds of things? Or
Well,
do you want to answer that, Gianmichael, or do you want me to?
Sure. Well, we can both.
that's both.
From my perspective, I first of all, I believe that everybody is sensitive. Everybody has that capacity.
Mm-hmm.
It's just undeveloped in some people. So when your mother was talking and you couldn't hear her, that's because the waking you couldn't hear, because that's not who she was talking to. She was talking to the deeper part of yourself, and awakening something like on a DNA level, if you will. But by awakening that in you, when your father passed, you were able to be much more quickly present for him, because that was something now that was beginning to develop. And so I see everything, the whole cosmos, as each one of us being a different color thread, unique to ourselves, that may be beautiful. You could look at a beautiful piece of thread and say, that's gorgeous. Look at the sparkle, look at the shimmer. But when all those threads come together, they make a tapestry that's even more beautiful than the thread by itself. And so we're all interwoven in that way, to be able to pick up on that. That's why every queen in the universe thinks that she used to be Cleopatra in a previous life, because in some sense we all were. Because we're all part of that same tapestry. But nobody wants to be the maid that cleaned the toilet.
The chambermaid.
But the sad reality is we've all been there too. I always say that in a past life, I must have sailed the Nile on a golden barge, because this time around it feels like rat class on the Titanic. I'm inclined to agree with what the good doctor just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yet at the same time, in your mother's case, Toni,
mm-hmm.
she came to say goodbye.
Mm.
In your father's case, he didn't know what was happening, and he wanted you to explain it to him.
Mm. It could be. My just as a point of reference, Gianmichael, my father had very, very severe dementia. So
That
I don't know.
doesn't end with death.
Yeah.
At least not in my opinion.
No, it does. I agree. And people always think that when you cross over, all of a sudden you get brilliant and enlightenment and all your stuff. My ancestors that were racist were still racist on the other side. When they were homophobic, they were homophobic on the other side. And for the Italians, part of our work is ancestral work. So it's healing that stuff. And so there are ancestors who didn't want shit to do with me when I was alive, who have now come to work to be an ally spiritually with me, because they see I'm not. First of all, they get it, because the aunts used to all say, "Oh, he's mezza-menz. I'm, half a cup of coffee, half a cup of cream, genderqueer," and
Pinocchio.
some of the uncles they weren't down with that. But as they start to see from the other side that whether I got a wig on and a breastplate or a leather harness on and I'm in a sling, I'm the same person.
Oh, I hope they're not looking when you're in the sling.
Gianmichael would not give a shit if they did.
They're not. See, the thing is, they're always right here, so there's no other place they could be. So I've had people come through with messages for somebody when I'm dancing on the ceiling. And so I listen to the message.
Lionel Richie.
I listen to the message, but I'm not going to give it in the middle there. I'm going to still continue to try to take that other person to see God. And then when we're done, I'll say,
so that's what they're calling it.
Yeah. So who do you
That's
know?
what all the hip kids are calling it.
They keep saying Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So, I mean, they're seeing one thing, I'm seeing the other.
That's all what all the popular girls in school say. Until they do the splits and 5 class rings drop out. But Gianmichael, I have a slightly different view of that, because I know of the relatives that, based on your proclivities, really don't think much about you. But once they cross over, because let's face it, at the end of the day, everybody can be a schnurrer. Once they cross over, it's not that they don't see your true value and your true worth. But let's face it, if you grew up straight up Guinea like we did, they also see opportunity. And you can now afford them something that they can't achieve on their own. Contact with the living.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have any use for you while they were alive. Oh, but now that they're dead, well, maybe the Finook serves a purpose. I'm sorry, I'm a New York Italian.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Do you agree with that?
In other parts of our lives, in the Italian American experience, at least, and particularly as a Sicilian, when our people came here, my father is very dark skinned. If you looked at in one generation, our skin lightened up 100-fold. And that was because the biggest lynching in America was not of any other group of people. They were Italians in New Orleans. They were Sicilian.
The neighborhood that my uncle grew up in, because he was dark complected, but he had pin straight jet black hair. They thought he was Puerto Rican, and in that neighborhood at that time, being thought to be Puerto Rican was worse than being thought to be black.
Really?
It was sad. It's funny, too, because in my youth, I was actually a lot darker complected. As I grow older and start to lose my motor skills in my hair, I'm also losing pigments.
Yeah, that happens. And so even in the living world, in certain circles, we'll say, of Italian life, in particularly in Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia, the Finocchio, the gay guys had their purpose, they had their value, but we were always being used. It wasn't, nobody respected you, but you might have been the way that you could get that person, they could get something on somebody, by your being the way that you are.
I've turned a profit off of that many times over.
I'll bet.
Sad. Oh, it's very sad. But you know what? But society leaves us in a position to do things we might not like it, but we've all heard the phrase survival of the fittest.
Yeah. And
Okay,
it
you
makes
might be
us
captain of the football team, but look what I can do.
and it makes us who we are today. I mean, I was raped and beaten at gunpoint by 4 guys on May 10th, 1983. They put a gun to my head, pulled the trigger, the gun misfired. They took off. 6 months later, I was in the hospital with PCP. Back then, it wasn't called AIDS yet; it was called GRID. In February of the following year, then they called it AIDS and ARC, and it was like a jumble for a minute. But you know, we're here. We are 38 years later in November. I'm still here. So all of that shit that happened when I was younger, all of those weird experiences, and the priest, and then becoming a doctor to serve the AIDS community, and then and the sex work and the porn and all of that stuff. The hairdresser, being a hairdresser. I mean, that was my training in psychology. All of that is why I survived. And so I can't say that I would give any of it up. As much as I would give up the trauma of the sexual abuse, it made me who I am today. And I can't imagine who I would be if I didn't have that horrible experience.
Well, you know what, Gianmichael? I'm sorry, honey. That adds credence. And I'm a firm believer of the old adage, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Yep. And heaven doesn't want me and hell's afraid I'll take over.
Oh, I was telling Toni I got hell in my last divorce. I own it now. Well, time does fly. But Gianmichael, in parting, and honey, I cannot even begin to thank you enough for joining us this evening.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, well, trust me, you'll be back. Or someone will be back. Or actually, let us say someone will debut. But then again, we might be her guest.
Yes.
Gianmichael, please tell us all exactly how and where we can find you on social media.
With a Ouija board.
So well, you know what? I was wondering where my fucking cell phone went.
So you can find. First of all, I would love, and now that the pandemic is on its way behind us, I heard on good authority that Angelina might take a trip out there sometime when maybe Toni and Frank come for dinner. And maybe 3 broads sit on a couch and tear it up. But
that would be everything, and we can do it on camera.
That was a rumor that I heard, but I think she would be down with that. But you can reach me on Twitter. I'm Strega Mystica, or if you want to reach Angelina, she's Strega Rustica. So Mystica is me, Rustica is her. On
Rustica.
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Inner Alchemy Online, and the name of our school is inneralchemy.online. You could reach me there, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on Facebook.
Oh,
or at least how long it's going to take until he gets parole.
Yeah.
Gianmichael, honey, mother loves you, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I love you both and love your show and appreciate all that you guys do to make people happy.
And by the way, you and the mister need to make your way to Queens for dinner. And no, Toni, it's not a trap.
No, I know.
Not when I invite family.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Besides, I'm pretty sure he has enough wards and protectors.
I'm back.
Well, the other ones thought they had all that too.
Yes, but he's the real deal.
Oh, of course. Did you think any of my children would be anything other?
No, I did not.
The apple seldom rots far from the tree.
So true. Especially the poisoned apple.
That's right.
Michael, I love you, sweetheart. Thank you again.
Love you too. Ci vediamo.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, he was great.
He's amazing. He really is.
Well,
and despite everything, he's still a truly kind person.
Yeah.
I admire that.
Yes.
Sometimes I even envy it.
But only sometimes.
Well, folks,
Uh,
that wraps up episode 31.
episode 31. And they said we wouldn't last. What did they know?
Exactly. Honey, as long as your husband keeps doing our hair, we're inevitable.
This is true.
I mean, let's face it. We're always perfectly coiffed.
Yeah, well, he won't let me be anything else. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm just glad I know how to maintain mine. You bet I mean, please. I would love to just sit in a chair right before the show.
That's what I do.
Bitch!
Why, thank you. From you, that's high praise.
This is so true. It really is. And if I compliment you, well, we'll just say I don't give compliments. I simply state facts. So if I actually compliment you, chances are I'm plotting your death. Once again, on behalf of myself, the naughty Alexis Flame, and the nice
Toni Homeperm, elegantly coiffed in her pride hair. I have my pride hair.
Yeah, I know. I have to get one.
Yes.
Now, when is our next appearance?
Our next appearance? I'm not sure. Won't that be? I think that will be. Won't that be your birthday show?
That would be July 8th.
I think it'll be July 8th. Your birthday show.
Well, my birthday is July 6th, but yes, the 8th will be my birthday episode.
Yes, and you're not leaving the surprises up to me.
No.
So,
I don't know.
So you're leaving. So I'm leaving the surprises up to you.
Tony, you know I don't like surprises. Unless they're very shiny. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule.
Of course.
Unless they're very shiny or set and teased perfectly. I'm not a fan of surprises. No, because I hate walking into a situation blind. Especially when I didn't soak my contacts long enough. Everybody, thank you again for joining us. We couldn't have done this for so long without you. And we're going to keep doing it. Thank you again for joining us. Mwah. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Alexis.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.